there's nothing as natural to me as getting up and having my cup of coffee. I'm sorry.
Okay, but
and we should have never built. We should, the Stargate, yes. Okay, for the purpose of speaking with the visitors from the other timelines, yes, absolutely. The Looking Glass, no. That was done because of our own shortcomings as people who aspire to things that we maybe shouldn't try to grab a hold of.
Well,
It should have never been built.
Gives you power, right? We're talking about power and the misuse of power here.
Yes.
I mean, bottom line, right?
Yes.
So
and I am an advocate against that misuse.
Right.
In fact, well, I could say against the misuse. I am an advocate against its use, period.
Okay, so let's say that one has the Looking Glass, and you're saying it shows probabilities. And one of the things we were wondering is, how does it do that?
Well, from the best I understand, and I was speaking with Bill just a little while about it, a little while ago, the rings and the amount of information via energy, which is passed into it, and I've got to be very, very careful with this. The position of the rings, their orientation, the energy running through them, position of the barrel, etc., because you can raise the barrel up on an armature inside the center of it, all come into play as if you have an onion with the various layers of the onion. As you move through the different energy levels, you also move through the different layers, so you get different bits of information. Now imagine an almost infinite number of layers overlain in comparison to the positions of the rings, and an almost infinite amount of energy that you can add or subtract. Tuning it up, tuning it down.
Well, it sounds
Instead of going up by 1 hertz or by 2 hertz, maybe by a thousandth of a hertz, up and down.
But it sounds like you're working with almost like a kaleidoscope effect. You know, like a kaleidoscope, a real kaleidoscope, the way you would turn and twist and focus, and each time you get a different design, right?
Well, right, except
Each time the colors are changed.
Yeah, you get a different design and the colors change, but it's like working with multiple kaleidoscopes, where when you find 2 different probabilities that you would run into, you have 2 kaleidoscopes, and you make a change on one kaleidoscope that may factor or function to a different angular change on another kaleidoscope, so you get 2 separate pictures that you then have that are flashing back and forth.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay, so
best analogy to that.
Is there an interface with a computer to get these readouts in terms of probability?
Yeah, in fact, there's a deinterlacing system which they used to actually deinterlace the flashing back and forth of the 2 probabilities, or the multiples that they had at certain times when it starts skipping.
You could freeze them, right? So you could look at them closer.
Well, what they did is they deinterlaced the video, and then reintegrated the video and watched the individual videos then.
Yes, yes.
And then determined statistically how much time was spent on each video to determine the amount of probability of each event occurring. And they tested that against probabilities in the field and probabilities of future occurrence to get a system which functions scientifically. And that's...
Okay, so, well, I'm going to go with that, and I'm going to actually say what they might have been doing is then looking back to see, in other words, if they saw an event in the Looking Glass, all they had to do was calibrate or look at the different possibilities, see which one happened, and then...
That's what they did.
As time went on.
Absolutely. That's right on. That's right on.
Yeah.
That is right on the beam.
Okay.
And you know, some people, like I said, some people say it's blue smoke and mirrors. But then again, I was told something in 2001 that's I'm living in right now. Okay. Okay, without going to what it is.
Absolutely.
And like I said, we'll talk about that in the future. But you know, it's the best scientific equipment that I can imagine for the determining of such a thing. Mm-hmm. But it goes to the old question: just because we have the power to do something, should we?
Sure.
And I am a 100% advocate. She and I had a more than a small dust-up out at Frenchman Mountain over this very same thing, which actually resulted in me walking alone down Lake Mead back toward Las Vegas. was she and I yelling and screaming at each other along the roadside. They were doing tests out at Frenchman Mountain during the time that the Rosen Bridge was being accessed there, the Einstein-Rosen Bridge, with the equipment. They had the curtains up and all of that business, and up where Metro couldn't see it from the top of the mountain and all of that, and they were accessing there, and there was a mistake and a small explosion out there on the east side of this little, what we call the Conquistador helmet, and she wanted me to go out there with her to help clean some of the evidence up of it, and she and I got in more of a little dust-up because I didn't want anything to do with it, because I don't believe, I'm no Luddite, I mean, I'm all for grand technology, but I don't believe in playing with things which actually deal with looking into the future. And there's another issue that was going on at the time, in fact, that the variety of communication which was going on via this equipment from elsewhere, I presume she will still won't admit to me, but I presume that it was from Orion, and it was information, defense-related information on how this type of equipment, how an Einstein-Rosen bridge at a distance could be used to pull information out of a defense computer system. And I don't mean a U.S. defense computer system. And I said, you know what? No. Look, we've got the technology here, we've got the talent, we've got the willpower, and we've got the willing to defend our own country without the use of something involving time technology. I wouldn't want to go up against, for instance, God help us, the Chinese on the ground. But at the same time, I don't fear their country either. I believe that we should be diplomatic with them and have a firm understanding and a respect for one another. But I also don't fear them. And so the use of a technology like that is not honorable to me.
Right. Well, it's like knowing how the game plays out means you can play your advantage ahead of time and making sure that that eventuality will occur.
That's why I was so interested in when I was doing my time with the jobs involving safety and security training and all of that here in Las Vegas, when I was interacting with Marcia and the I, because we were literally on a daily basis talking about that same thing and about the psychology of individuals who come to a table to play a game and who cheat to alter the outcome of the game. And that whole psychology, it's something which I'm not, is not foreign to me. And so that helped, if you will, prime the wick of the explosion between myself and that variety of technology, which actually primed my disagreement with it.
Okay, well, I understand what you're saying, and there's a million questions that all of this generates.
Oh, I know.
I know we don't have all night, but I would like to ask.
Yeah, there's 30 of them here.
Knowing, but now that I know what I know and what you've at least communicated, you're saying you don't want to use the looking glass for advantage over country to country, but what about country to off-world?
No. It shouldn't be used at all.
I understand, but
all right.
But is there something there? I mean, in other words, is this technology something that they are using now to look at our relationships with, because they've been
the technology
closed
is
down.
not being used at all right now.
Okay, but the reason it's not used now is because of where we're going into the galactic, the plane of the...
Yeah. As of about 2017, I would expect probably that all of these little pieces of equipment will probably all get reassembled, yeah.
Turned back on.
Oh, sure.
2017? That's quite a while.
2016, 2017.
Oh, not until then?
Probably not.
Meaning...
I'm figuring that they're probably going to act conservatively on this. That's what all of the people of wisdom have suggested to them.
Oh, wow.
Is to act conservatively. That, yes, the so-called cycle of catastrophe or season of catastrophe of Falconelli, the time period from, right around 1992 to right around 2012, right around that area, while we will have passed 2012, we really ought to get through the entire cycle, which is about 1980 to about 2016, to feel